I was saying it to my wife the other day. I was like, man, looks like the Drake of sports talk in Canada.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I
Oh, you're
appreciate
gonna
that.
be. You're gonna be. You're definitely gonna be.
All right, welcome to episode 7 of Film Never Lies, and this episode is about the Dallas Cowboys. Love them or hate them. Either way, if you love them or hate them, you got to watch the America's Team documentary on Netflix. I'm telling you right now, that was electric. But the Dallas Cowboys, and we're going to bring Tyrone in here in a sec, but it's really interesting what's going on right now. And to me, it's kind of the coolest storyline of the season because beginning part of the year, they were the worst defense I've ever seen. It was awful. And you're sitting here and you're like, this team is brutal. Jerry goes out and we all bloodbath him. He's like, man, what is this guy doing making trades at the deadline? And now all of a sudden, with the addition of Quinnen Williams, who looks like he's possessed out here, made a million plays. Logan Willson has been an unsung hero at the linebacker position. These guys are humming on defense. They're doing very well. Eberflus has seemingly found a role here as their D coordinator. It's been bizarre, but they give up 21 points like that against Philly a couple weeks ago, and then they shut that down. Against Kansas City, they gave up 14. I'm like, Kansas City's going to score 100. They shut that down. And then you talk about the offense. Dan Orlovsky's talking about George Pickens, and we mentioned it last week, potentially being the best receiver in the NFL this year. CeeDee Lamb has had some drops and still has been unbelievable. They've built through the draft in the offensive line. Javonte Williams as a runner has been awesome. And now all of a sudden we're going to bring up their schedule first. And it's like, tell me where they lose here. Tell me where they lose in this schedule. So the toughest game is coming up here at Detroit. And the Lions are a very, very good team still, but I don't think defensively they can hang with the Cowboys whatsoever. And then offensively, you're missing your best receiving weapon in Amon-Ra St. Brown, most likely. So if they find a way to beat Detroit, which I definitely think is possible, then you go into versus the Vikings, and we all know what's going on with that operation right now, especially their quarterback play. Then you go in versus the Chargers, which is tough, but you're at home, and the Chargers are pretty banged up. And then it's at Commanders, at Giants. Division games, I'm not going to say they're gimmies, but both games they can definitely win. So they beat the Lions. Now we're going to bring in the playoffs picture. The Cowboys are 6-5-1 right now. Again, they have 5 games left. So that tie, to me, is almost like a 12th win. I still think they probably have to run the table. This is what's tough about the NFC. But you see the first team in front of them is Detroit. They got them this week. You beat them there, and you're in the hunt. Now your game's back of Green Bay, San Fran, Seattle, and I would also put Chicago in there because Green Bay and Chicago play each other. So you need somebody to slip up. But my point here is if Dallas can run the table and go 11-5-1, that puts a lot of pressure on these other teams to continue to win. And I think there is a world, I don't think it's extremely likely yet, they got to beat Detroit, but there is a world where the Dallas Cowboys end up in the 7th seed. And when I say nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to see this offense right now. Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, Javonte Williams, and Dak Prescott are on fire. How about them Cowboys, baby? And we talk about the Detroit Lions. If they lose this game, in my opinion, they're done. I don't care what the stats say. They're not making the playoffs. Who are they going to catch? The NFC West is going to continue to rip. If the Detroit Lions lose this game and drop to 7-6, there's just not enough games left. They have 4 games left. I don't think they run the table in those games. But I still think with the tiebreakers and the games they've lost, again, 11 is going to be the minimum. Like, you're going to need 11 wins to get into the playoffs, in my opinion, at the moment. Unless we see a couple more shocks or upsets, I feel for Detroit fans. It's been a tough year. You lose both your coordinators to head coaching positions coming into this thing. You switch your offensive guy. Dan Campbell's calling the plays. The magic of 4th downs have seemingly run out. The defense has been good at times, shaky at other times. Amon-Ra St. Brown is out. Wild Thursday matchup. I couldn't be more excited for it. And I'll say this, as much as everything points in the direction of Dallas, and that's what it does right now, is Dallas is going to win. This does feel like, Lions fans, one of those absolute vintage epic Dan Campbell moments where they come in here, the boys rally around their head coach, they are at home, and they find a way to squeeze one out because it don't get much bigger than this Thursday. Dallas versus Detroit, I can't wait to see it. Two great quarterbacks, a lot of great players on both sides of the field. Jahmyr Gibbs can't even get into. We didn't even get into, I should say. I mean, these guys, it's going to be a heavyweight tilt with a lot of playoff implications. And with that, we're going to bring in our guests here, man. And this is my guy. Tyrone Crawford is my guy, and we're going to get into a couple stats here in a sec. But as a kid growing up in Windsor, Tyrone is a year older than me. And it was one of those things where we were both very large in stature, and we played kind of different sports. Tyrone was an OFSA gold medalist. He threw, I think, shot put. I think he was javelin. Discus might have been in there. He was Mr. Basketball in the area. I was more of a hockey, baseball kid. And every year it was like we kind of collided on the football field in the gridiron. And it was really cool because we've developed a bond since then, and we always kind of kept tabs on each other. I will say this, he got the better of me in high school when I was in grade 12. Grade 11, we knocked Tyrone's squad out, but it really wasn't because of me. I got two older brothers and are much better than me at football. My senior year, they absolutely waxed us by about 40. It was really a tough pill for me to swallow, and that film still floats around. Tyrone ended up going to Bakersfield in JUCO route, where he was an absolute star. Gets a scholarship to Boise State and was on one of the coolest Boise State teams, led by Kellen Moore at the quarterback position. I think they lost 2 total games in both years he was there. He then gets drafted in the 3rd round of the Cowboys. He signs a big ticket 5 years later. He had some crazy names as his defensive coordinator as far as football royalty goes. This guy, beyond everything he's done on the field, he's done a ton in the community in the Windsor area. I can't say enough about him. Again, multi-sport athlete, unbelievable human being, 9-year NFL vet, all of them with the Dallas Cowboys, played a ton. And I'll say this to end this intro. It was always for me, beyond the stats and the accolades and all these things, listening to coaches talk about guys in the meeting rooms was always something that, stood out to me. And I always used to think, like, I wonder what coaches say about me in the meeting rooms. And I remember one of the years we were playing Dallas, and Tom Cable walked in, and we were going through, everybody on Dallas's defense. And he circled Tyrone and was like, I'm going to tell you guys right now, this guy's got a high engine. He's big, he's fast, he's powerful, he's all those things. But his effort jumps off the tape. And for Tom Cable to kind of say that about somebody, let alone a guy that I knew, a guy from Windsor, Ontario, that pretty much tells you all you need to know about Tyrone Crawford. And with no further ado, here he is, my guy, high school enemy, I'll say, now friends, Tyrone Crawford. So with no further ado, here he is, Tyrone Crawford, and we're going to get into a lot of Cowboys talk here in a sec, Tyrone. But we got to let the people know here. I mean, you're the pride of Windsor, Ontario, coming straight out of Catholic Central High School. But I wanted to know, I don't know if I've ever asked you this, was football always your dream? Because in high school, you were a basketball legend in the local area.
You're using a lot of crazy words here, Luke. Oh, man. No, we got to give it up to you for the legendary athlete of Windsor, or of the area. But man, football wasn't always my dream. No, obviously I had the hoop dreams when I was young. I threw a little bit of shot put and discus. I had thoughts of maybe trying to take the Olympic route, and then realized in both of those things I just wasn't going to cut it as far as size. So yeah, man, I decided to just kind of go with what I guess God blessed me with, and just try my best at football.
Okay, so I got to ask, so the producer of the show, his name is Rob. Rob claims, and I want to know if you remember this, man. Do you remember in high school going up to Western and playing London Central High School at all? Would have been at the University of Western. I told producer Rob, we're interviewing you, he goes, I played that guy in basketball. He goes,
basketball.
And it was terrifying. Yes, in basketball.
Most likely. I don't remember a lot of that stuff, but yeah, definitely probably we did so many tournaments, man. We went over to Detroit, London, Toronto. We went all the way, Ottawa. We did a lot of tournaments. So definitely probably did that. And I'm sorry, producer Rob.
Okay, now help me out here. So you're going to Catholic Central, you're playing football. Talk to me about your first step, which was the Bakersfield. What was that whole process like, especially coming out of Windsor, and how was it when you got there? I would imagine it was a bit of a culture shock.
Yeah, definitely a culture shock, to say the least. I mean, dude, going to California, let alone Bakersfield, was a big transition. And then just the football was one thing, but the city, the culture, all that was a whole another thing. And yeah, I mean, Bakersfield, California, it's not as diverse as Windsor, but there's diversity. You know what I mean? And there's a couple cultures, and that's about it. And yeah, they pretty much, they run Bakersfield, and but yeah, so that was a shock for me. Seeing a lot more of those cultures, I guess, and in a smaller place. But definitely enjoyed my time there. Got to meet a lot of lovely people. Got to meet my wife, and then learned a lot of life lessons for sure.
Okay, so now talk to me now. So coming out of Bakersfield, how was the recruiting process? Eventually, obviously, you went to Boise State, which we're going to get into, and I want a couple takes on your college football scenarios right now. But before that, what was that experience like? Again, so you're at CCH, Bakersfield, and then you end up going to Boise State. Was that a pretty surreal moment when you signed those papers?
Yeah, most definitely. Because I was recruited by Michigan State, Boise State, coming out of high school. Ended up both of them telling me go to this junior college, Bakersfield College in Bakersfield, California. Did that, and then going out into my second year at Bakersfield, I got offered by a bunch of schools, but Boise was the one that stuck with me through my first year, wrote me letters, talked to me after every game. I don't know if they were breaking any rules at that time, but they were definitely giving me calls after games. And so I stuck with Boise, stayed committed, and enjoyed the heck out of it when I got there for sure. And yes, it was definitely a shock to go D1 and just continue to climb towards that dream that we both were chasing at that time.
Not many people know this, but there was another Windsor boy with you at Boise State. Did that play into it? Mike Atkinson, just to give some of the listeners, I had to deal with these guys in high school. Okay, you got Mike Atkinson and Tyrone. I think you guys waxed us by 40 my senior year, but we're not going to get too deep into that.
No, there's some film out there, though.
No, yes, there is. Yes, there is. So my question is, did Mike Atkinson, you plan to go there, or did it just kind of happen? Was it a coincidence?
Well, when Mike went, the Boise coach came when we were in high school, and he came to a basketball game of mine. And, they got to meet me and Mike. They offered Mike and offered me, but I, obviously didn't clear the clearinghouse. And Mike went there. And yes, that was a huge factor of why I stayed committed because, yeah, one of my best friends was going there, high school teammates. And, I wanted to share that experience with him, but also, try and, keep each other in line to trying to get where we were trying to go. So yeah, that was definitely a huge part. Yeah.
So kind of off topic right now, Tyrone, and I'm being very honest. I'm not blowing smoke here. I'm getting into this whole college football situation with the playoffs, okay? And I need your take on this because, in my opinion, Boise State has ruined everything. And the team specifically that you were on. And before you get mad at me here, okay?
I'm not mad. I think I know where you're going with this.
We're putting Tulane in. Tulane's going to be in the playoff. And the problem I have, and I want to hear from the horse's mouth, is that the only team, in my opinion, in the last 20-some-odd years, there was a non-big conference team that deserved and could compete was Boise State. I don't think Tulane deserves to be in the top 12, especially this year. So I want to hear from you. And you did play with Kellen Moore there, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but your junior year, you guys, I think, ended up 6th and 9th, depending on the poll. And then the next year, you were 6th and 8th. And Kellen Moore was at the helm. So we'll get into Kellen here in a sec. But can you give me your take on the college playoffs and how you guys would have fared in it back in the day?
So, that's why I love what you're doing, Luke. I love that you're you're doing this. You're still talking football. You're talking it for the country. I seen a little bit of jabs at some necessary things in the CFL, and I love that you're bringing a lot of eyes. I was saying it to my wife the other day. I was like, man, Luke's like the Drake of sports talk in Canada.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I appreciate that.
You're gonna be. You're definitely gonna be. Okay, so listen, I would say our run, we had a team full of men that somehow got on the same team, right? And these, like, I mean, you're talking about like Doug Martin,
Yeah.
all the guys that we had were like they went to the NFL or could have went to the NFL and did amazing things, right? And a lot of them played for a long time on those teams that I had. Tulane, I don't know what the case is there, but I guess like it has to be like a prove it thing for them, and maybe they prove it. And this is when you give those schools the opportunity to make those big leaps. Like Boise State was a junior college at one point. You know what I mean? So we had our opportunity to make some big leaps, and we made them. And now the nation talks about us a little bit more. But yeah, that team was different. And then walking into a team that Kellen Moore led. I was a junior college guy, so I came in 2 years into Kellen's starting, and I had 2 years left with him. And so I got to see him work for 2 years. And the 2 years before I came, he had 0 losses. And the 2 years after I came, we had 2 losses, TCU and Nevada. But that team was different, and I can't say that I believe that there's another smaller school that has a team like that, because I guess I was a part of it, and that would be rare.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. You said you don't follow it. There isn't, my friend. I'm not even bullshitting, and you just said it. The list goes on with the Boise State team, and now everyone's like, well, what about Boise State? And I'm like, this is the outlier of non-Big Five schools here. Boise State had dogs, bro, and they all went to the league and all balled out in the league, including yourself. Okay? Again, and I'm a small school guy, you know this, but I'm like, we can't be putting Tulane in over Miami. Can't happen.
Yeah, no.
Can't happen.
I agree with you on that. I mean, even back when Boise was doing it, I didn't necessarily, I wanted to do it. I wanted to be in it, but, I wouldn't have been like pissed off if we weren't, because I understand you can't just throw the small school up there. That's just not how it works. But
I feel you on that.
You're gonna have to deal with it, big man. I'm sorry.
No doubt. So here we go. Let's get on to the Cowboy stuff, because I know there's a ton of Cowboy fans everywhere. A lot here at TSN, but talk to me, man. You get drafted in the 3rd round. Like, is Jerry the main focal point? Is that the guy who calls you off the bat? Like, how is that, dude? Right off the bat, it's Jerry on the phone, bro. Talk to me. Tell me about this.
So for me, I knew who Jerry Jones was because of Orlando Scandrick. Orlando Scandrick was there from Boise State. But again, not a huge American football. I wasn't a Canadian football guy or American football guy watching it. I loved to play it. But I didn't know like the stars. I knew who D. Ware and Tony Romo was and Des Bryant when I popped onto that team, right? But other than that, didn't have a clue, who most guys were. Jason Witten's another one. But like some of the star linemen and things of that nature, the running backs, DeMarco Murray, those guys, I wasn't on beat. But when I got that call from Jerry Jones, I knew he was the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Matter of fact, he said it. Tyrone, this is Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. So I was like, okay, perfect. And it was shocking, man. My heart dropped. And, obviously, man, when we make that leap, when we're making that leap from university to the NFL, like a lot's going through our mind. We're just super grateful to have the opportunity. And I knew there was work ahead for sure, because they said it. They said that on the phone too. They were like, hey, enjoy your night, but after this, get your ass locked in because we're working. I'm like, all right, yeah. So I kind of tried to lock back in fairly quickly, but I did enjoy a Windsor night for sure before I left.
No, you had to. I did the same the following year, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. I know.
We're going to get to Windsor at the end of this thing. Don't you worry about that.
All right. I won't.
I want to ask you a few more questions about your time in Dallas. So in your first 3 years, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you go Rob Ryan as your DC in a 3-4. Then you go Monty Kiffin as your DC. Then you go Rod Marinelli. Now, unlike
The GOAT.
yeah, Rod. Well, I knew you and Rod are boys, but
Yeah.
how is playing for Rob Ryan as a rookie?
Extremely difficult. Extremely difficult.
In a 3-4 defense.
Yeah, dude. That's kind of how I ended my career too, and I knew it was the end too. When I went back to the 3-4 kind of play on the D line, I was like, okay, yeah, this is it. But no, we with Rob Ryan, it was interesting because getting to know the type of guy he was, and the family he comes from, and the football family he comes from. It was interesting to play for that guy because, man, he wanted things done a certain way, but at my position, you needed to be like 320 pounds to do it the way he was doing it. So I gained weight. You could probably find it. There's a picture of me, and I just got like a beer belly looking stomach on me. And yeah, I'm right beside Leon Lett, Big Cat, in this picture. But man, I got up to 305 and was trying to handle, the 4-eye position and, all that jazz. And I didn't do well. I got pancaked in Seattle. Actually, it was one of the first games my brother came to, and I got pancaked. And the next day in the meeting rooms, all my vets had me outlined like a dead body.
Oh no!
Yeah, it just wasn't for me, man. It wasn't for me.
Yeah,
that system.
Let's get on with that then. So then Rob ends up leaving,
yeah.
And you bring in Monty Kiffin for a year, and you guys go to 4-3. So was in your second year then you felt like, all right, man, this is more my style of game?
Yeah. So I immediately was excited about Monty Kiffin coming in and specifically, Rod Marinelli, coming in. And I was playing defensive end my second year. Unfortunately, training camp tore my Achilles. So I had to sit out a year, but was happy that they didn't have the most successful year, but they had a decently successful year on defense. So they kept those coaches around, and Rod Marinelli ended up being my coach for a lot of years after that. But with Kiffin at the coordinator and Rod there, my third year, I started off at defensive end, and then by game 3, I bounced down to under tackle, the defense tackle, and they just told me to get off the ball, man. Just get off the ball and try and wreak havoc, and that's what I did. I was able to do a tag technique where, if I was getting reached, by the offensive lineman, I was able to just continue my straight line and hit it upfield. And I stayed out of a right-handed stance. I never got into a left-handed stance, rarely got into a left-handed stance. So it just worked well for me, man. It was kind of just perfect timing. God works in mysterious ways. And, at that time, he put me in the right position for sure.
All right, Tyrone. I don't know if you were just watching that, though, but this is kind of what I wanted to know for me personally. Is like I grew up, and I did watch. So, like, I was young, but the 90s Cowboys were, like, larger than life. Was there ever a moment for you where you've got the star on your helmet, you sacked Tom Brady, we just showed you sacked Aaron Rodgers, sacked Eli Manning, where you're like, it don't get much bigger than this? For a kid from Windsor, Ontario, I'm playing for the boys, I've got the star on the helmet, I'm starting, and I'm sacking the best quarterbacks in the world. Like, did you ever have that moment when you were playing it was a bit surreal, or was it just straight business for you?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I had a couple moments, obviously. Again, we share this same thing, except for you got a big old ring, right? But no, I would look around, be in AT&T Stadium, and look around and just be like, man, this is insane. I would try and be extremely grateful, at the beginning of every game, look around. But honestly, while I was playing, has nothing on post-career, and kind of looking back and trying to bring myself back to those moments, and the feeling I get when I can actually get my mind back to those moments and really feel what it was like. It's incredible, and not a lot of people get to do that kind of stuff, and we got to do it in some of the biggest and stadiums with the most loud fans. and it was surreal, man. So I just thank God for being able to, spend those 9 years, going to war with my brothers and enjoying the crap out of it. But yeah, bringing myself back is definitely a good time.
It's a bit of a trip. I don't know about you, but sometimes I'll be like watching games and I think to myself, like, man, this looks nuts. And then I realize, like, dude, I played 100 games. Like, it's like when I was in it, I was so locked in on, like, okay, we're playing the Cowboys today. I got to block Tyrone Crawford. I got to chip.
Yeah, and you did.
Lauren. Hey, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Okay, I got to do all these things. And I, like, didn't really have time to take in the magnitude of the whole thing. So it sounds like we're on a similar page with that.
I feel you. I feel you on that. Yeah, exactly. Like we're kind of just, again, locked in, and we had a job to do, and we had a job to keep. That's another thing about the NFL is, you got guys working out outside when you land on Sunday night. Monday morning, there's guys working out outside. At the same position you're at.
It's the strangest thing.
It's crazy. It's
for
crazy.
Those, I'm going to get a little deeper in that. So you play on a Sunday night in this league, and oftentimes, and sometimes it's just they want to know what guys are out there. You never know.
Yeah.
But I remember being like on Monday or Tuesday, you peek your head in. For us, it was the indoor. I don't know how it was in Dallas. But it'd be like, hey, who are they working on the indoors? And every third week, it'd be like 6 tight ends. I'm like, damn, dude, I think I played pretty well. But you never know.
In Dallas, they had the weight room overlooking the practice fields. And so they knew we had to go in and get our workout in, Monday morning, Tuesday morning. And we had to get our workout in. And so when we're working out, if we're getting, if we're on the squat racks or something like that, we see that there, the positions on the field where the D line works out in the far left corner of the end zone. I would see at least 5 guys working out there. Every time I'm working out on Monday, I'm like, oh my God. It never bothered me on my guaranteed years. But, the years where it wasn't guaranteed, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, I feel you. I had a lot of those non-guaranteed years. Before we get into that, because I do want to talk about negotiating with Jerry Jones, when I say Texas culture in football, can you explain to me? I went to Rice, dude, which is, a minuscule compared to the Cowboys. You said you weren't a huge sports fan as far as watching, love playing it. You come from Bakersfield up to Boise State, which is in Idaho, for those of you who don't know that. And now all of a sudden you're in Texas, man. What is that like? Were there any moments where you're like, what is going on here? I felt like that when I was 18 and I went to a small school.
There's still moments, man. There's still moments, like I even just, being a dad now and, going to different, the games that my kids go to this private school, right? So we get to go to the high school games and they only play 9-man football or whatever it is, 6-man football, but the stadium's packed. And then, being at the Star, a bunch, the Cowboys kind of share their indoor facility with the, high schools that play every, Friday night or whatever it is. And when I say these games are insane, and some of the stadiums, they got a high school out here, Allen High School, one of the biggest stadiums I've seen. And I'm talking about, this is high school. This is not, college. Just when you go in there, you're like, what is this? So yeah, man, I mean, Texas is all about football. And the further, into the country you go, the crazier these boys get about football. So it's pretty awesome, man. I enjoy that part of it, and I enjoyed it, playing all the way through. Everybody here loves the Cowboys, and if you don't, just don't talk about it. Yeah, just don't talk about it much.
I remember even from my college days. So you mentioned negotiations, and we talked about that. One thing that happened this offseason was obviously the big Micah Parsons, trade. And I was shocked, Tyrone, because they were like, man, Jerry negotiates with the player directly.
Yeah.
Now, you signed a big ticket. My guy signed a big ticket, as he should have, in Dallas. Did you have to negotiate that with Jerry yourself?
Not really.
Okay, so it's a bit of a myth.
Yeah, well, I mean, up to a point. We got going into training camp. This is after my 3rd year, and my agent's like, hey, Jerry and the teams, they've called and they want to start negotiating. And my agent's like, what are we thinking? And we talk numbers and everything. And he's like, all right, I think I said like, man, 40 million would be a blessing, right? I'm like, oh, like, and he's like, all right, we're gonna go in at 85, and I'm like, you're going in
You
at
got a good
85
agent.
million? Yeah. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, that sounds crazy. They're gonna walk away. They're gonna say we're idiots. And he's like, just let me handle this. This is what I do. And so like I was calling him all the time, like every week pretty much in training camp, and I was like, how's it going? And they're like, oh, we're still at like 75. I'm like, man, you got to bring it down, bro. You got to bring it down. And he's like, let me just do my job. But towards the end of training camp, I think we're nearing the deal or whatever. And I know Jerry and Steven, we had a short conversation, but they were like, hey, you're our mule, like you're gonna pretty much continue what you're doing. If we need you at end, you're gonna be at end. If we need you at nose, you're gonna be at nose. If we need you at tackle, you're gonna be at tackle. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm doing anyways. I'm down. And they were like, just, kind of go to war for us, go to battle for us. And they're like, yeah. And he's like, all right, we're gonna tell your agent it's done. Let's do it. I was like, all right, cool.
Sick, dude.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't know, but that had to be a pretty wild day.
No, it was dope. It was dope.
But it was in training
I thought
camp.
maybe they were trying to like bluff me a little bit, but
Yeah.
But they weren't, man. Like that night, my agent calls me, and that's the night we're flying home. And so, I got back to my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, hey, they accepted it. We're about to go sign this thing tomorrow. We had a couple of days off too. It was dope.
So now your camp's in Oxnard, California, correct?
Yeah.
So did you have to fly to Dallas?
Yeah. So we were flying to Dallas. Yeah. But the whole team was flying back. It was.
Got you.
Yeah. Training camp was done. Yeah.
Okay. Now, we talked a bit. We're going to get into Windsor here in just a sec, but we talked a bit about draft day. You were in Windsor. I was in Windsor the following year. Things got nuts on Olette Avenue for me.
Oh boy.
Well, we can get into that in a sec. But do you have at least a moment or a night out because you're in training camp to celebrate the contract, or was it like, yo, we're in camp, like I can't do nothing?
Well, so my mom flew down because it was the week before our first game, so we had to go back to camp for some reason, and then come back, and then the season opener was happening, so it was early September or whatever. And my mom flew down, and so we had practice the next day. The day I actually signed the contract, we had practice the next day, or like a walkthrough or something. But me, my mom, her friend, and my now wife went out, and we splurged on a pretty big dinner.
I like that.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah,
but I had to go right to bed after, but it was nice. Definitely had a pop.
All right, Tyrone. Now we got to get in, because I'm sure there'll be a bunch of Windsor people listening into this thing. So I'm going to read off a list here real quick, man. Okay? There's yourself. There's me. OJ Atogwe, a little bit older than us. Brett Romberg.
Mm-hmm. Big dog.
Dakota Shepley, younger than us. Theo Johnson, currently balling.
Yes, salute.
Way older than us. Ed Fillion. Okay, I'm going to put in, I believe he played 1 year, and I might butcher his last name. There's a kicker named Jerry Kurick. Okay, played for AKO Fratman.
Okay, he's a City fan still, yeah.
Yeah. More of a CFL guy, but did have a year in the NFL, if my research is correct.
Okay, perfect.
What is it, in your opinion, for those of you listening, every single guy I just named is from the Windsor-Essex County area, all played in the NFL. What is it, in your opinion, that makes Windsor-Essex County such a hotbed for NFL talent? I mean, I would venture to guess, I've been told by Dwayne Ford, I don't know if you ever met Dwayne Ford, but one day I'll introduce you guys. He put Brampton over Windsor. I asked him. I said, as far as city, yeah, thank you. We'll get on Dwayne for this.
Yeah.
I don't know how you compete. I'm going to say this again. Tyrone, myself, OJ Atogwe, Brett Romberg, Dakota Shepley, Theo Johnson, Ed Fillion, Jerry Kurick is the kicker, all from Windsor-Essex County. You tell me what you think it is, man. How is it that we have this many guys played in the NFL?
I really don't know how to explain it. We talk about this with me and my friends all the time, but there's just something different about the Windsor, man. Like, I don't know what it is, but if you're from Windsor-Essex County, like the heart, the dog, even if it's not, football, basketball, or just in life, the drive inside of us is just a little bit different, especially being from Canada and, being border city, and there's Olette, Yeah.
In LA.
Yeah, that's LA. Yeah.
No question.
No matter what, your heart has to show every once in a while on that street.
LA Avenue, baby. I'll tell you this, Tyrone, I don't know if you had a moment like this, but I remember my first year at Rice. I get down there, and it was probably similar at CCH, your high school. But at Villanova, we were cutting high school hockey jerseys for practice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Practice was guys had different helmets on. Shout out the Essex Ravens. One year, we had Raven helmets, a couple kids because we didn't have enough. I got down to Rice, and I remember walking into the weight room and thinking to myself, and I swear this is my exact thought. I was like, this is the nicest weight room I've ever seen. And I was like, I'm going to get so much better at football here. This is crazy. We had an equipment manager. We had all this stuff. And a dude in my class walked in right behind me and said, this gym sucks, man. My high school shit was better than this. And I remember thinking to myself, part of the reason I claim that I was able to make it was playing football in Windsor was such a privilege, and you had to be kind of nasty or piecing together equipment. When I finally got a little bit of support in college, I took off because I'm man, I've been doing this with nothing. Now I get all these nice things.
Yeah, I forget my first agent told me, guys from Windsor, they're Rocky, not the Russians. The Russians are the guys out here, and we're the Rockies. Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. Hey, respect. Now I wanted to talk to you. Tell everybody a little bit about what made you want to continue to grow football in Windsor by having your Windsor's Finest Football Academy. You did some unbelievable work there. And I want to tell you now, I'm living up here, Tyrone. I still coach in the area just down the road in London.
Beautiful.
But I still get people coming up to me all the time. There was man, I got a photo with you and Tyrone at Windsor's Finest. So what was the motivation behind that?
Honestly, man, just seeing I got to go to some camps here from, different teammates that, had me in. Some of the older vet guys, they'd be like, hey, you're coming to my camp this year. I'm like, all right, yeah, whatever, and so you're booking your own flight too. I'm like, okay. What I wanted to do was I wanted to, bring guys back and try and show them a great time. Guys, my teammates, show them, what Windsor has to offer, and which all of them loved it, and they still begged me to do another camp.
I know. I was at a few of those nights, man. I can understand.
Absolutely. But then for the kids in Windsor, what I got to see on, my teammates' camps when they would do it in their hometowns, those kids were ecstatic. They love the fact that they were just in the presence of an NFL player, even though to us, we don't think we're that big of a deal most times, most guys. But, for us, it's really nothing. But for these kids, it was, it was everything. So that's what I want to do for the kids in our city. I just thought it wasn't fair that, we didn't have that exact same thing. And then my brother and my cousin, Daryl Townsend, who played in the Montreal Alouettes, and my brother, who played football all the way up through and played at the University of Windsor, they wanted to do something, and they were very passionate about it. And they also were reaching out to people on my behalf to, try and get some money to fly guys in and make this thing happen. So I got to give a big shout out to them, for making the whole thing happen and me not having to touch a thing, to be honest.
Love it.
Except for my pockets the first couple of years, they
No question. No question. Now, we're going to end this thing up. We do a little top 5 segment every week, Tyrone, and we change it up. So this week, this top 5 is brought to you by Yoder Smokers, man. I don't know if you've been smoking anything out there in Texas, bro, but the Yoder Smokers, I'm going to put you on, bro. It's the GOAT. It's the GOAT.
Okay. I follow you on Instagram. I seen that you were doing a little bit of smoking.
Yeah, I'm learning.
Whole chickens, I love it.
Yeah, I'm new to the game.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But this week's top 5 is top 5 greatest Cowboys of all time.
Okay.
So I got a list here, man, and I want you to talk some shit if you disagree.
All right.
Okay, but number 5, I got Larry Allen.
All right, hold on. Wait, stop.
Uh-oh.
You got to be a little biased with this list now. I don't want you to go through 5 without mentioning your boy. Right?
Okay, time out.
I wanted to say that pre-list, just in case you weren't going to do it.
Top 6 greatest Cowboys. Number 6, Tyrone Crawford.
All right, here we go. All right, Larry Allen, amazing.
Larry Allen, number 5.
Yes. Yes.
Number 4, I'm going Troy Aikman. I think Troy, for me, obviously got the Super Bowls. Career got cut short. But, I mean, I still put him in my top 5 greatest Cowboys of all time.
You have to. Super Bowls.
Okay, love that. This is where it gets a little dodgy for me, but number 3 is actually Emmitt Smith. Okay. He could be higher. I think you could argue to be higher here.
I want to see who number 2 and 1
Number 2, I'm going Michael Irvin.
Okay.
No, you don't like it as much. Okay.
No. I mean, that's argued. Like, I don't know. 2 and 3.
I'll give you my rundown here, and you can tell me who I missed. Number 1, a little before our time, but I had to go with Roger Staubach, man.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
The OG. So we agree on 1.
Yeah, we agree on 1. We agree on 3. Larry Allen for sure.
Larry Allen's in there. Who would you?
Emmitt, Michael. I just don't know. Okay. I don't know. I'll probably swap those. Yeah, Emmitt, I'll probably put at 2, but either way, they're both beasts.
How you feel about the other guy kind of left out with Randy White?
Quarterbacks, I'm a huge Dak Prescott fan, and I played with Dak and Tony, right? I think those guys with the right, like all the pieces around them, like if they had the Staubach or Aikman pieces around them, Super Bowl
look
guys
at Dak
for sure.
this year.
Yeah. I mean, and then let's not talk too soon because Dak still has this opportunity this year to make a run at it for sure.
Now, for sure, they might sneak in here.
I think like you showed no love to the defense, and it's cool.
I know.
I'm saying that's a typical
Randy White was the guy I was going to slide in there.
Randy White, D. Ware, those are guys that you definitely could have put up there. But hey, man, that's just how offensive guys are. They don't show no love.
That's right. Selfish, dude.
I had an offensive head coach most of my career, man. Trust me, I know.
Yeah, you understand.
Yeah.
All right, Tyrone, I can't thank you enough, man. I appreciate you chopping it up with us. And
absolutely,
this is
brother.
Another episode of Film Never Lies.
Hey,
thank you.
Get going. This is Rob speaking
here.
I just want to let you know, Tyrone, you may not remember the game we played against each other in high school basketball, but I do because you grabbed 78 rebounds and probably dunked 10 times. It was a bit jarring as a 140-pound 10th grader to watch that happen.
Yeah, I probably grabbed all those rebounds, but those are off my own misses.
Still counts.
Yeah, it does.
Rob hits me up yesterday. He's like, man, I played against Tyrone. I go, this is a true story. We're getting ready for Jay Onright's show. He's like, man, we played against him is it Alumni Stadium in Western?
Yeah,
Rob?
something like that.
And he goes, I go, how was that? And he looks at me and goes, terrifying. How do you think it was? The guy grabbed 78 rebounds. I go, dude, I mean, he was Mr. Basketball. He was Mr. Basketball.
Stop, man. You're the guy.
Mr. Basketball.
You're the guy. Don't try to put me
How
up
many
there.
offs gold medals you have, dude?
Stop it, dude. You and your whole family. This guy's brothers, they ran the whole Southern Ontario. It was ridiculous.
You know, I always tell, it's funny, because now you can attest to this. We're going a little off script here, but Rob, I tell everybody here all the time, both my brothers were better at football than me in high school, and it wasn't close.
Football. I think they were maybe football, yeah.
Yeah, they were much, not everything for sure. The other stuff I would get them on, but I was like, man, I was the 3rd best high school football player in my damn family.
I always thought it was crazy. Like like when you went to Rice for football, I was like, I thought he was going to be playing hockey, baseball, anything else.
Listen,
but football.
I hear you. Baseball is one. One of these days, I'm going to have my own podcast, and I'm going to talk about my hockey career, and it's going to get a little offside. But I'll spare that for today.
Dude, well, I knew all about you in hockey. I didn't even play the sport in the city, and I knew all about Luke. So, and what you did on the ice. So, yeah, man. Props to you. Props to what you're doing, man. I love what you're doing. It's always good to see your brother doing big things. So keep being the Drake of sports talk, man.
Hey, I appreciate it, Tyrone. I'll see you soon on Olette Avenue.
No, let's just have a good little house reunion.
Good point.
Barbecue.
Good point. Times have changed now.
Absolutely, brother.
And that's it for episode 7 of Film Never Lies. Thanks for joining us.